Good evening. We welcome you to the board meeting tonight. We're sorry we're tardy. We didn't hear the bell ring. Welcome to board meeting. Our agendas are posted on 3 of our screens if you haven't noticed them. And we'd like to excuse board member Paul Widdison. He may join us during the meeting, and we'd like to excuse him. We'll begin our meeting tonight by a harp solo by Madeline Gonzalez, a student at Bonneville High. And after her, we'll let you announce what you're going to play. She's going to go for about 20 minutes. And once she says she was done with that, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Madeline. Madeline, how long have you played the harp?
10 years.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
And what are you going to do with your harp when you're done with school? Are you going to pursue it?
I haven't thought about that yet.
It's beautiful. You did a great job. How about another round of applause? That was beautiful. Thank you to your mother for being here with you. With the recent passing of Board President Brent Richardson, it becomes necessary to elect a new Board President. Board, I'd call for nominations for the office of President of the Board of the Weber School District Board of Education.
I'd like to nominate John Ritchie as President of the Weber Board of Education.
Second.
So I have a nomination by Board Member Dean Oborn and a second by Doug Hurst. Do I have any other nominations for Board President? I'd call for a motion to cease nominations. Bruce, called the motion, second by Janice. All in favor?
Aye.
So, any opposed? I guess I should ask for that. Having said that, I thank the board for the opportunity to be able to serve as board president behind Brent Richardson, and call it an honor and a pleasure to be able to assume this mic and the seat next to the superintendent. I have to take a vote to put. Oh, Robert messed us up on Robert's Rules of Orders. Entertain a motion to approve myself, John Ritchie, to be the board president of Weber School District. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to say aye too, Robert. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Well, we got through that one. Let's try this one. With the elections of a new board member and myself moving up, it creates a vacancy for a vice president in the Board of Education for the Weber School District. I'd entertain a motion to open nominations for vice president.
I would nominate Dean Oborn.
Janice nominates Dean. Do I have a second? Second by Mitzi. Do I have any other? Seeing there are no other, I would call for a motion to cease nominations. So moved by Doug. All in favor of Doug, oh, excuse me, I need a second. Bruce will second, thank you. All in favor of Dean Oborn serving as second vice through the calendar year, which I missed on mine, of January of 2019. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, board, and congratulations, Dean. Yes, Dean was my high school teacher. Now school's in session. No, I'm sorry. We will move to the business portion. We need to have a public meeting to hear any arguments in favor or arguments against the issuance of a $97 million general obligation bond of the board. I would call for a motion, board, to open the public meeting. So moved by Bruce, second by Mitzi. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll turn the time over to Robert, please.
Thank you, President. We will start this public meeting by, we have a 3.5-minute video that a few of us have watched in this room before, but it's always interesting, but many have not. And it gives a good summary of the of what's happening with the bond election and the reasons why and those type of things. So Trent, if you could just cue that up, we'll watch the video for 3.5 minutes.
This is the Peterson family, and like you, they live in the Weber School District. Over the next 4 years, Weber is expected to grow by more than 1,500 additional students. Although Weber School District has done everything to accommodate continual growth, it's easy to see how our schools are getting more crowded every year. So how does this affect the Peterson family? Well, the kids are worried about their schools being too crowded. Mrs. Peterson is worried about their kids not getting the right attention with so many students. Mr. Peterson is concerned about the amount of portable classrooms popping up. And Grandma and Grandpa are concerned about safety issues with aging schools such as Roy Junior High School, a school that is over 60 years old. To help with the increased number of students in the area, a bond will be on the November 7th ballot for Weber School District. This will help to build new schools as well as renovate and rebuild other schools with safety and security concerns. How will this bond impact the Peterson family's property taxes? The bond will do a number of things, but one thing it won't do is raise the tax rate. How is this possible? Not only are there more taxpayers and more businesses in the area, but Weber also has a AA rating, which is a high grade that shows a stable, secure, and low risk for bonds. Weber has also fast-tracked the payoff of previous bonds. Therefore, taxpayers will see no increase in their yearly property tax rate from Weber School District with the new bond. And Weber has always followed through on their bond plans. With the 2012 bond, the district rebuilt West Weber Elementary, Walquist Junior High, and North Park Elementary. Built Birch Creek Elementary, which combined Marlin Hills and Club Heights Elementary Schools, added a 10-classroom addition at Rocky Mountain Junior High, and remodeled the gymnasium and cafeteria at North Ogden Junior High, drastically improving the area's schools. The 2017 bond for $97 million will add a 12-classroom addition to Fremont High School to increase permanent capacity. Build a new elementary in Far West in the Remuda area to ease pressure from Far West Elementary. Build a new elementary in Pleasant View to ease pressure from Majestic Elementary. Rebuild Roy Junior High, which is in desperate need of replacement. Expand Weber Innovation High School, a technology-based, cutting-edge school where students experience personalized learning at an accelerated pace. Weber Innovation is open to all students from all 4 other high schools. The district has these and many more needs. Projects not included in this bond will be top priority on the next bond. Weber has a history of going out to bond every 5 to 6 years to improve our schools and without raising the tax rate. This 2017 bond will accommodate for the growth in the Weber area, which will make the schools less crowded, and will also allow for more updated, modern facilities. The Peterson family and many others love Weber School District because of its safe environments and quality of education from great teachers. With the 2017 bond, Weber will continue to build a successful future for all residents. With less crowded schools, there are greater opportunities for every student. Watch for the ballot in the mail October 17th. And then, remember to vote. The Peterson family and you can vote in one of 3 ways: absentee, early voting, or simply walk into a polling location on November 7th and cast your vote. Thank you for your time, and happy voting.
Thanks, Trent. Now, before we hear public input, we are going to present a pro-argument or a argument for the issuance of bonds and an opposing argument. By statute, we were to solicit both a pro argument, had to be 500 words or less, and a con argument, had to be 500 words or less. And so we duly advertised and solicited, and we provided a pro argument and for the issuance of bonds, and we also received a con argument. So both have been published, and also by statute there was a given time frame where a rebuttal for each of the arguments could be written, and a rebuttal has been provided for the con argument, but no rebuttal has been received for the pro argument. And so at this time, before we hear public input, we'd like for everybody to listen as we read the pro argument and the con argument. And Trent he has them on the board, so he'll kind of scroll and you can follow along. But we've asked Jennifer Boyer-Thurgood to read the argument in favor of the issuance of bonds. And then after she has read that argument, we've asked Sherry Hyder to read the argument against the issuance of bonds. And then lastly, we'll have Jennifer read the rebuttal to the argument against the issuance of bonds. And we'll go to that point.
Weber School District is the 6th largest in the state with nearly 32,000 students, and our enrollment is growing. Student enrollment has grown by more than 1,500 students during the past 5 years and is anticipated to grow by an additional 1,500 in the next 4 years. Indeed, school district patrons and taxpayers identify student growth as our district's #1 concern, according to surveys regarding the proposed bond conducted by an independent firm, focus groups, and Weber District online surveys. An additional high priority for survey respondents was adequate learning facilities for our students. Those surveys also expressed concern about the tax impact of bonds. These 3 primary concerns of patrons and taxpayers were addressed by the Weber School Board when it passed a resolution asking voters to approve the issuance of a $97 million bond, which would not increase tax rates at all, address student growth, and keep up with aging facilities. First, the Weber School Board has structured its proposal to minimize impact to taxpayers. The issuance of these bonds will require no tax rate increase. This is possible because outstanding bonds have been retired, leaving capacity to layer in new commitments. Growth throughout the county also helps to allow new bonds to be funded with increased assessed values. Second, in an effort to address rapid student growth throughout the county, 2 new elementary schools are proposed in high-growth areas. Additionally, a 12-classroom addition will be added to Fremont High School. Significantly, prior to asking voters for bond monies, the board implemented widespread boundary changes the past 2 years to maximize efficiency of existing schools. Despite these targeted boundary adjustments, new facilities are needed to handle burgeoning student growth. To further alleviate crowding at the district's 4 traditional high schools and to provide additional options for students and families, Weber District proposes an expansion of Weber Innovation High School. Weber Innovation High School is a magnet school focused on personalized learning using a blended model. Graduates from this school will have earned their associate's degree and be highly prepared for college and career. Students from all district high schools are eligible to attend this cutting-edge school. Lastly, as part of a multi-year replacement plan, Roy Junior High School, the oldest junior high in the district, will be replaced by a modern, up-to-date facility. The Weber School Board does not enter into bond elections without long-range planning. The past 2 bond elections in 2006 and in 2012 were also undertaken with no tax rate increase, and where both the need for new facilities and the need to replace aging facilities were accomplished. In the 4 bond elections held over the past 25 years, the Weber School Board has always kept its promise on both construction and tax rates. If the voters approve the current $97 million bond, the Weber School Board will once again keep its promises with voters, parents, and students. Providing a world-class education with modern, superior facilities is the Weber way.
And this is the argument against the issuance of bonds. The proposed Weber School District bond is the right idea, but with the wrong details. It is clear that the growth of our district has made it necessary to add schools and increase classroom capacity. Our community as a whole benefits when our students are well educated. The problem with the proposed bond is that it does not fully take into account the pattern of rapid growth that is occurring in the western portion of Weber County. A quick glance at the map showing the locations of the district's current junior high schools shows clearly that there is a cluster of existing junior high facilities in the southwest part of the district. In fact, Sandridge Junior High at 2075 West, 4600 South, and Roy Junior High at 2100 West, 5400 South are located only 8 blocks apart. However, the distance from Rocky Mountain Junior High to the new Walquist Junior High, which is already at nearly 100% capacity, is over 12.5 miles. The communities located in the current boundaries of Rocky Mountain and Walquist are experiencing explosive residential growth. The proposed bond addresses this growth at the elementary level, but where will the students at those new elementary schools go once they complete 6th grade? The students who currently attend Roy Junior High absolutely deserve and should be given the opportunity to attend school in a building that is safe and comfortable. However, this doesn't mean that the only option to accomplish this goal is a new school in the same location. The district has repeatedly stated in the past 60 years have brought many changes that necessitate the replacement of the Roy Junior High building. Those years have also brought changes in the growth of our communities. These changes are the reason that building a new facility in the same location does not make sense for students or taxpayers. building the new junior high in a location somewhere between Rocky Mountain and Walquist, an area where the district already owns several suitable parcels of land, will utilize the bond funds in a manner that will benefit our students for years to come. As both a taxpayer and a parent, I support giving our students the facilities they need in order to receive an excellent education. Let's not settle for a bond that is good enough. Our students and taxpayers deserve that we get it right. Let's join together to provide a solution that is right for the long-term good of our community. Vote no to the proposed bond.
And the rebuttal to the argument against the issuance of bonds. The Weber School District is pleased to receive public feedback and welcomes the opportunity to respond. Weber's Board of Education is aware of the request from those in the West Haven area to build a junior high school in their community. However, rebuilding Roy Junior High in that area creates significant challenges. Currently, Roy Junior High enrolls 921 students. This represents an increase of 32 students over last year's count. Sand Ridge enrollment also continues to grow. Their 2017 enrollment is 879, an increase of 70 students over last year. Rebuilding Roy Junior High in the West Haven area would require the vast majority of students to be bused out of Roy and to the new school. In studying the proposal outlined in the argument, the board determined that opening a new junior high in West Haven with 1,000 students would require approximately 80% of students to be transported. That additional transportation cost is extremely problematic. In the near future, a new junior high in the West Haven community will be needed. In fact, the board listed it as a high priority in its discussion on bond projects. However, after surveying constituents, the board found that county-wide support for that proposal was significantly less because it would require a tax rate increase. The plan will be to have the West Haven Junior High School as a high priority on the next bond. In the interim period, the district can continue managing growth throughout the West Haven area with existing facilities.
Thank you, Jennifer and Sherry. And now, President, I'll turn time to you and you can entertain public comment. I know that Claire has a clipboard of people that have signed up to speak.
Thank you, Robert, and to Jennifer and Sherry for your presentation. We would invite those who have signed up. I have that list. I will call you up to come and take the mic so we can have it recorded, please, and address your concerns. And Claire will time you. We will give you 3 minutes, if you would, please. So, with that, we'd like to start with Jennifer Ferry. Jennifer, thank you.
Okay, I came in hopes of convincing those that might be on the fence of voting no on the proposal to try and persuade them. So my name is Jennifer Ferry, and I have students in Weber High School, at Majestic Elementary. I have 2 children as well, and at Orion Junior High. So I'm kind of all over the place, but it's good to be all over the place because it helps me get involved. So just a little bit of background. I've been able to serve as PTA president at Majestic Elementary. I'm on my 2nd term at Orion Junior High, serving as the PTSA secretary, and I've been able to serve on the school community councils and as well as be part of the boundary studies at both the junior high and the elementary school in the past couple years as those have been considered. And in these experiences, it's been fun to just get involved and see what's happening in the schools. We are crowded, very crowded, especially over at Majestic Elementary, where I had the opportunity to be and where I get to volunteer and be a part of my kids' experiences there as well. If you've ever had the chance to walk through our halls, when the bell rings, I invite you to do so. It is a sea of students. And I encourage, that's my passion. That's why I encourage us to vote yes on the bond. With some personal examples of why I encourage yes is my daughter was in a kindergarten class, and she was among those that had her classroom on the stage with how crowded Majestic Elementary got, as well as my son has recently expressed to me this year, even with the boundary changes, they've had to add another bus route just within our own neighborhood because students were sitting in the aisles or forward to a seat. There simply is not enough room at our schools. Also, as PTA president, some of our hopes were to build a sense of community in the school, but we ran into, we're a little discouraged with being able to facilitate some of the programs we wanted to with a school of way over 900 students. I'm always impressed at the administrators. They're doing a fantastic job with what they are given. And so as a parent, I feel like I want to do my part as well. And so that's why I'm involved in encouraging our public to support the bond initiative. When I thought about it, I thought, if any of you have teenagers, maybe you feel like this, they're always asking for money, are they not? So I thought, before I delve in and cash out and give them my money, I think, well, are they doing their part? Are they showing me that they can do their job over a certain period of time? How's their attitude? How's their actions? And are they succeeding? How are their grades? If they pass those tests, then I am more willing to give them my money. I don't have a problem with it. And so as I reflected on those questions and reflected on Weber School District and the board, I feel like they have my money and they have my vote. With the building of the new schools and the initiative as it is presented, I feel like they are doing those things to show us that they're trying to reduce the overcrowding. I felt like the job is getting done. Their attitude is to help all of our students by ensuring smaller classroom sizes.
Jennifer,
Am I done?
I like your emotion and your energy,
Yeah.
but you're at 3 minutes.
Okay. Vote yes.
Thank you. Wendy?
Drogi is how you spell that last name or pronounce it. You probably didn't attempt it because no one gets it right the first time.
So go ahead.
Thank you. Drogi.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have left the E off.
Yeah.
Drogi, thank you.
Thank you. I came here also with Jennifer. I have children who are in Roy Elementary, so they're first and third grade. But we're settled here for the long haul. So we have a stake in the future in this school district. And obviously we would really like to have a safe building for my children to be in. So there's a few reasons why I would like this bond to pass. And they all mostly go around Roy Jr. because that's what affects me, obviously. So the first issue I have is the safety issue. I don't know if you guys have seen that video where there's literally cracks going on the wall of Royal Junior High and the foundation is crumbling. I mean, this is a very dangerous issue for our children that we have going to this building. What if that big earthquake hits or even a normal earthquake? How is that building going to react if it's already crumbling without any of those earthquakes? I mean, I can just see it on the news, like this area could have done something about these children going to this building, but instead they built another one somewhere else and left all these lower income kids to be in this old building. And I don't mean to divide income, but sometimes it is divided that way. The Roy area is a bit less well off in general. The roof is leaking, which can cause mold issues. We all know that. And so our children are going to be breathing this. Anyway, I have a lot of issues with that. The second main reason why I think that Roy Jr. should be rebuilt where it is because it will help the area. It will help it be more attractive to potential buyers. I know that when we were moving to look into the area, that was one of the reasons that we were like, oh, not to diss on any schools, but Roy Jr. looked really, and Roy High looked, I don't know, and Roy Elementary even still, but we were like, do you know what, maybe we can come in here, we can do something about it, we can get good learning environments for our children, which will help bring up the area, which will help get these children a better education, especially once it has more of modern technology in it. Our children will be able to have more programs with STEM programs and all sorts of things. And they're going to have a much better learning environment. I don't know if you guys are aware of just the few AC units that are in the school. Personally, I can't concentrate when it's too hot, and I definitely can't concentrate when it's too cold, and also the heating is an issue in that building. And so it's just, way too much to expect children, especially junior high kids, to really try to sit through that when it's already torture to try to get their attention. I can imagine the teachers trying to get their attention.
Wendy.
Is it over? Good, because I'm done. But
Thank
anyway,
you.
yes, thank you. So please give our kids a better place to learn.
Thank you. Dino Workman.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Dino Workman, and I'm pretty heavily involved in school as well, so I wanted to give my opinion and impressions about why it should be a vote for yes. Particularly because as I listened to the rebuttal, I was a little bit put off by how it talked about, everything going all the way out west. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but as she just now mentioned, socioeconomically, we need the school in the area for the purposes of transportation. If a student misses the bus, most of the families where we live are dual income families, and if a student misses a bus, they don't have an opportunity to get to school. They've lost that entire day. We could have a student be 30 minutes late or 10 minutes late or whatever, as opposed to having them lose an entire day. At Roy Junior High School, where I'm currently the PTA president-elect, we have a scenario where we have a lot of school spirit and a bunch of people who, again, attend games and who attend afternoon activities and events, and even items that happen in the evening, like 6, 7 o'clock. You'll see a kid who lives close, who can get up to the school and who can get themselves home, where that would not be an issue otherwise. This also keeps people, the opportunity of having the school in our neighborhood keeps the students off of the streets and gives them something to do. There are many people who aren't involved, who are just out walking around. But again, at Roy Junior, we have a vast number of kids who are involved. My son is an officer this year, and just to see the kids who want to be in the school and who are involved because they can be is an awesome thing. My wife and I both work full time, and sometimes we go, "Hey, Carson, sorry, walk home from football." But he has the opportunity to do that, where he would not have the ability to participate if we're not there. Additionally, I was PTA president at the elementary school municipal, and I was also council president once. And it's interesting trying to be responsible for trying to get parents and students involved. And there were many people who, there was just such an atrophy sometimes. And I think if we move that school out of the area, we have far less involvement and far less of an opportunity to even have people who want to be involved, who think, I'm not making a 20-minute drive. So I think that that's really important. I took exception with something that the rebuttal said as well, and it said, make the best decision for our students. I absolutely disagree with moving the school away from the students being the best decision for the students. I don't think that's the case. The best thing is to have them in a position where they can be involved and be affected. And these are community schools. I mean, at municipal where my kids went, like 6 of the people lived within 2 blocks of the school. And I think there's a sense of taking care of the school and the community because of that situation. Let's see.
That's probably a good place to stop.
Well, I'll stop then.
Thank you, Dino. I appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. Eugene Endicott.
I'd like to also support the yes vote, not only for the whole Weber district and the needs of the elementary schools up north, but as a resident within the Roy Junior boundaries, a parent of 6 students who went through Roy Junior, and 2 of which are there right now, and as a teacher at that school. We live within the boundaries, and we love the community. And Roy has a rich heritage, 60 years of community growth and connection and relationship. And as we renew this area, yes, West Haven is growing. My brother works out at Rocky, and we've got other people. My wife works at West Haven Elementary. There's no doubt that West Haven is growing, but so is Roy. And the schools that feed into the Roy Junior and Roy High Cone are growing as well. As new homes get built, as people retire and move out of the community, newer families are moving into the community with children that can partake in this rich heritage. And it would be not only a shame or travesty to, as Dino mentioned, move that 20 minutes or more west. We're talking about taxpayer dollars. We'd triple our bus fees and our bus expenses to move it away from the community if that were to happen. And within 5 years, West Haven will have the opportunity to have a new junior high as well. Why not have both and service both of the communities? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Endicott, for your comments as well as your service to our kids in the schools. And our last would be Heather Hogg. Is Heather? Did I get that right? Will you correct me, please?
Hogue.
Thank you.
Hogue. Okay, my name's Heather Hogue. I live in Hooper. I'm in favor of the bond issue. To be frank, we moved here 11 years ago from out of state, and we purposely did not buy a house in Roy because of what we had heard, okay? But we bought in a neighborhood in Hooper that feeds to the Roy schools. We could walk to Rocky, it's a mile away, but we've had 2 kids finish at Roy Junior. 1 is there now, 3 more to come. And they have had a wonderful experience at Roy Junior and at Roy High so far, being able to be involved in sports and plays, choir, whatever they want to really. And so we are bused there, and we're fine with our kids being bused because we know if the proposal to build out in West Haven, more kids would have to be bused. And I agree with the kids being able to get themselves to and from activities, and also those 9th graders who participate at the high school can walk themselves there, whereas many in our neighborhood, if we needed to, we could drive our kids over to Roy, but the kids who live closer couldn't. But nobody could walk to the high school. I know now kids at Rocky that participate can't walk to Fremont, but they still wouldn't be able to anywhere in West Haven. I am in full support also of them building a junior high and hopefully a high school someday soon in West Haven or somewhere, because it is needed as we grow. There hasn't been a new high school for 20 years, but hope people vote yes for the bond and leave Roy Junior where it is. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'd like to thank all those who took time out to come and express their opinion and concerns towards the bond. Board, you've heard the comments both by our staff as well as from the public, and I would call for a motion to close the public meeting portion of tonight's board meeting. So moved by Mitzi, second by Bruce. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. The public meeting is now closed, and we'll move back into open session. With that, board, we need to move to our consent calendar. I'd entertain a motion to accept our consent calendar, board. Moved by Doug, seconded by Janice. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Recognitions, that's probably why you all came. With that, our Extra Mile Award, Mr. Art Hansen.
Come on up with me over here. All right, this is always my favorite part, when we get to recognize the wonderful people that work for Weber School District and recognize their efforts. And President Ritchie, Board, Superintendent Stevens, it's my pleasure to introduce to you, to some of you, others know Everardo Medrano. He's the head custodian at Roy Junior High School, and he's an amazing young man. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, a little bit about his connection to Roy Jr. because it's extensive. Okay, well, first of all, when I went over to talk to various people last week, this is just a little tiny portion of the Everardo fan club at Roy Jr. I can't believe how many people wanted to, just tell me. I kept on getting emails afterwards that they'd heard that I'd been out to the school and I didn't talk to them. And they wanted to tell me how much they loved Everardo and what he does. So next one. Well, he attended Roy Jr. as a student. And so from about, age 12 to 15 you were there? And then he went and worked as a part-time custodian there from age 16 to 19. Went and spent a couple years in Florida, came back at 21 and started as a part-time again, and then soon was made the assistant head. And by age 22, Everardo became the head custodian there at Roy Jr. So he has a long connection and a great love for the school that so many of you spoke about today. And, I had to laugh because every time I watch that Bond video, which is really a cool Bond video, but when I see the Razorback fall, I'm thinking of Everardo every time. I'm thinking, oh man, he would never let that happen. That probably ticks him off to see that. Next one. Okay, what are others saying? I had to condense it because I had so many great comments from others. This is one. He's the man. He is always here before we get here and is always here after we leave. He's never in the office. He's out helping everyone all the time. Another, he comes in on weekends to make sure the old boiler is working so there is heat in the building. Now, we're talking about a 61-year-old school, and it's October right now, and people pay money to go into a haunted house. If you want Principal Williams and Everardo to take you into the scariest place in our district, they'll take you down to the boiler room. And you've been down to the boiler room, and it is a creepy place. But it really is. But he'll take you. They would take you on a free tour, and I tell you, you would be freaked out, especially this month. But the reason he goes in on Sunday nights because if he goes in on his regular time on Monday morning and the boiler's out, it takes 6 hours to heat the building. And he just does that because he knows that he wants to make sure everyone's comfortable at his school. That's pretty powerful. Okay, he gets along with the most difficult people and never complains. He just smiles and goes right to whatever is asked of him. And he doesn't just take care of the school, he takes care of all people in it. So he's just not, it's just not just the building. Every kid's important. Every faculty member is important to him. Principal Williams said, I'll just read some of his comments here, and this was written last month. He said, a couple of weeks ago, we had a family movie night. Everardo was not scheduled to be here, but at 9 p.m. he shows up and asked if there was anything he could do to help. Then the next morning when I arrived to work at 6:30 a.m., he was out front trimming trees. That's the extra mile. This is the extra mile award, folks. And Principal Williams also says, Everardo is a Spanish speaker and is very proud of his Hispanic heritage. Periodically, he translates for us. It is very easy to see the trust and confidence that our parents have in Everardo as he translates. It's a wonderful thing to witness. He also says, as we've been preparing for the November bond and the possibility of Roy Jr. rebuild, many have said to me, at first glance, Roy Jr. looks great. He said, this doesn't look like a 61-year-old school. He says, President Williams says, that's all because of Everardo. And finally, most importantly, the kids love him, and he loves the kids. I've worked with many custodians that are very good at what they do with cleaning buildings, but lack the skill or desire to interact with students. Everardo does both of these, and even mentioned the fact that the kids are policing themselves. And he's heard him say, "Don't you drop that on the ground? You pick that up. Don't make Everardo do that." So with that, Board Superintendent, I'm pleased to present to you our Extra Mile Award winner, or the recipient, I should say. And we've got a little award for you, and we'd like to get some pictures. But while I'm getting your award, would you introduce those who came with you tonight?
Sure. So if my mom and sister and also our faculty members, especially, yeah, if you can stand up.
Part of the fan club.
Teachers, Mr. Williams, Christy Haas, Diane Moran, the head secretary, Courtney Fairborn, she's an aide for our special needs unit. And not only that, I hold dearly, her dad used to be the head custodian, my first boss ever. And I wouldn't be here big time if it wasn't for him. And I also would like to recognize our cook here too. I know she's hiding, but she's Miss Thomas is Miss Miller. I get the names mixed up, but she's always there early in the morning. She works hard. I like to give thanks for this award, and my sister Jasmine, she's graduating this year, and my mom, she's had to put up with me and worried sick late at night when I'm coming back home from the school because of the boiler. Thank you, everybody who come. It's an honor.
Thank you so much, Brett.
Principal Williams, thank you. I want to recognize that you're with us tonight. Thank you. Now we get to do the E+ Team Award, and Lori Rasmussen, please.
Thank you, and I agree with Art that this is the best part of our jobs, is when we get to take a minute and recognize the people that are out there doing the work and making life better for all of our kids. So I'm honored today. Superintendent Stevens, President Ritchie has a nice ring, so and board members, to present to you the Freedom Elementary Special Education Department team for the E+ Award. So I'm going to have them wait for a bit. Okay. I found this, and it really fits this team, and I'm going to read it to you. This is a rare team. The best kind of people are the ones that come into your life and make you see the sun where you once saw clouds. The people that believe in you so much that you start to believe in you too. The people that love you simply for being you. The once in a lifetime kind of people. This team, this epitomizes this team. Not only do they love their students, and that was evident in their work as I visited. Every time I went out to visit, the passion there for the students and for the staff was amazing. And you could see that they believe in the kids and they believe in the staff, and it makes a difference. So let's meet the team. Oh, hey, Wrong team, right? He's a pretty good guy, and you know I'm fond of the Broncos, right? Now, they're amazing, but their team and their team players pale in comparison to the team at Freedom Elementary. So let's meet them. Leanne Edwards and Jennifer Whitney, if you'll come up. This is part of the special ed team at Freedom Elementary. Let's give them a hand. These are the resource teachers at Freedom Elementary. They're an amazing pair. This picture was taken early in the morning. I got there early. I got there at about 8 in the morning, and you can see there's children because they're working with kids well before, the bell rings. These kids are in there. They're getting smelly stickers. They're getting checked in, and they were having a ball. It was like joining a party. It was like the best thing. So this is Leanne and Jennifer. Okay, I'd like AJ Hicks to come up. AJ is the life skills teacher out at Freedom Elementary, and AJ does an amazing job. AJ has very difficult students, and we've talked a little bit in here before about life skills classrooms. The day that I went out to see AJ, he was working one-on-one with a student that was having a very difficult day, and so we appreciate AJ and all that he does. And then we have Catherine Doty, if Catherine can come up. Catherine is the speech pathologist out at Freedom Elementary. She does an amazing job, and she, this year, has gone a little bit part-time. She has a precious new baby, but in her duties, I went out, and she's there building capacity among our new employees and working with an SLT. So this is the team that we're going to talk about a bit. Okay. When I asked the team, so this is a team award, and so individually they're rock stars. Together as a collective team, it's amazing. And that doesn't happen often. But the one thing I want you to notice is this little quote in the corner, that people rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they're doing. They definitely have fun. And every time I went out there, the atmosphere, they are positive, they're rocking it, they're having a ball. When I asked them what made their team stand out, these are some of their comments. We love our team. We love coming to work each and every day. And believe me, they have some challenges. We all give 110% each day. We trust each other. So there's just this work that goes on. It's seamless, the cooperation, the collaboration, it's amazing. They spoke about others. They always were eager to talk about not themselves, but others. They talked about the phenomenal teachers at Freedom Elementary. They talked about the fantastic paras that help them each and every day. They mentioned their amazing principal, Miss Rockwood, Diane, if you'll just give a wave. They talked about Diane, being a principal who rolls up her sleeves and digs in and does the hard work with them. So you can see there's many reasons that this team stands out. I asked them to tell me about a few moments in their career that they really remembered as being significant, of times where they were like, you know what, I'm feeling the reward of this hard work. So one of them was that AJ supported a life skills student that he was a little outgoing, but he taught him how to channel that energy and how to be social and how to be a bigger part of his school. And at the end of the year, during it was an awards assembly, this student received a standing ovation from his peers. He fit in that well, and that's pretty amazing, that success. He talked about another 5th grade life skills student that's currently at his school and how the team has helped him with his personal care and hygiene, and to have success in that area where that's been a challenge for him and his family, and they were able to have success so he can live a more independent life. So those are pretty amazing rewards. The others, they talked about the student growth, and teachers are always, looking at how can I get my kids, how can I move them, and especially special ed teachers, just moving that bar and making the difference in their life. They talked about a student, the team talked about a student that he used to come to school every day crying, clinging to his dad, clinging to his leg, not wanting to go to school, and how now he doesn't miss a day. He is there each and every day, and he checks in with the team. This is a story, and the name has been changed to kind of protect the innocent. But so this little guy, Zach, I'm going to tell a story. If I get it wrong, you guys jump in. They told me this story. It's darling. So he's a little one, a 2nd grader. He's a very difficult student. He has some challenging behaviors. He is darling, though. I've met him a couple of times. So his teachers have gone to a training. They're out at professional development. So knowing that he would have difficulty having a substitute teacher and knowing that that might be a challenging day for him, the team tried to, prepare him, set him up and say, hey, your teacher's gone to training. You're going to have a sub. It's going to be okay. And he's listening and he's taking this all in. Another adult joins the conversation and they're like, hey, Zach's having a sub today. And he pipes up and he goes, yeah, can you believe it? My teacher isn't trained yet. So, that's kind of his take on that. So when we tell his kids we're going to training, we might want to rethink that. So the principal's comment about this team, Diane, she couldn't say enough. She called them her dream team. She said that it is that, referring back to that first quote, a once-in-a-lifetime experience to work with a team like this. And I would agree with that, having spent some time there and hearing all that goes on. Their child study team, these guys are the rock stars of that. They've got it going. They're they're helping gen ed teachers. They're working together. The follow through. Diane said, I don't need to follow through. They take it, they run with it, and it's done. She said she hears them often say among themselves, how can we support all the teachers? So their concern isn't about themselves. It's not about, it's how can we help our whole school? And then they really embraced the all for all kind of premise, that they're there for all and everybody. So we can't end a special ed presentation without an acronym, okay? So take your pick, greatest of all time or best of all time. That's this team. So congratulations to Jennifer, Leanne, AJ, and Catherine. So do we have the award? Okay. And then you guys, if you'll take a minute and introduce who came with you, and then I would love you to get a picture with the superintendent. Oh, okay.
I'm lucky enough to be at Freedom. I love to go to school every day. I have the best team, including our principal, who's right there with us, and the staff member, all the staff. But my husband is here today, the best husband in the world, and my beautiful daughter, my son, and his girlfriend, and my mom. And just thank you for all the support you give me as a family so I can go do what I love to do.
My wife Hillary is here, and of course I'd say Diane is here for us as well.
My husband Ryan is here, and the baby Emma. So.
Sorry, I do not like to speak in front of people. My husband Brent is here, Diane, Jan. I know, but I like to draw more attention to you because you're good at it. No, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're more than welcome to leave if you'd like to. This is the exciting part now. Thank you. Congratulations. We have great staff. And thank you, staff, for being with us tonight during the board meeting. Our next item will be a presentation on education and training of pathways by Mr. Ray Long.
I was trying to tell people, don't leave, don't leave. No, sorry about that. This is the exciting part. Good evening, Board President Ritchie, Board Superintendent Stevens, also faculty members and staff of our district. Thank you for being here and giving us the opportunity to present our education and training pathway. We're going to go ahead and start with a video.
I have no idea. Actress. Oh. I hear that in the movies. What is an Academy Award? Is that movies? I don't really like any female actresses. Keira Knightley. Amy Poehler. Adele. Superman. Angelina Jolie. Madonna. Sandra Bullock. Cameron Diaz. No. Peyton Man. I never know people. Tom Brady. I don't know, I'm sorry. Brett Favre. I don't really watch football. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Jorgensen. Professor Kessler. My French teacher in high school, David Miller. Love you, Dave. Dr. Galley. He's here at Weaver State. Miss Sharp, she was my first grade teacher. Keith Riff, he was my drum instructor. Brian Fehrenbach, Dave Miller, and Terry Ward. And Andrew Thorne. Also, Mr. Edwards was in high school. Because they've all taught me so much and it's helped me throughout my life to become a better student and to interact better with people. And thanks for all your help. I think more than just teaching, but supporting and encouraging and inspiring students. Thank you so much. You've impacted my life more than you have any idea, and it's changed a lot, and it's gotten me where I am today. Monsieur le Prof, je t'aime. Andrew Thorne, I love you. Thanks for putting up with me. And you're a really patient woman for doing so. Keith Wolf, thank you for inspiring me to play drums. Thank you for making me the person that I am today. It's made my life so much easier to know that people believe in me and that I can go somewhere.
The education and training pathway, this is a national pathway. It is designed to provide students with the opportunity to learn skills in high school to become teachers. Our pathway goal is to provide opportunities for students to pursue a career in areas that reflect a community need, which is to combat teaching shortage. And our state is in a teacher shortage. Also to provide students with fundamental skills and education that they will need to be successful in an education training pathway, but also to succeed in post-secondary education. Our program motto is #Project Grow Our Own. And for the last couple of days, Ms. Becky Sagers and I have been to all our high schools, and as of tomorrow at 2:10, because that's when we finish with Fremont, we would have talked to 4,168 10th and 11th grade students. The way we got started with our program is we collaborated with the Tennessee Department of Education on their education pathway model. And we also visited several schools around Nashville, and we came away with some good information. We're continuing to reach out to other states that have great models of programs to learn from them, but also to strengthen our pathway. And I want to give a shout out to our superintendent as well as Art Hansen for their support and their vision on this pathway with us. When we came back from Tennessee, we came back with a lot of information. We modeled our pathway the way we wanted Weber school districts to look, not the way Tennessee's to look. But our pathway will consist of classes starting in the 9th grade and ending with our current capstone class, Education 1010, which is a concurrent enrollment class. Also, our students will get an opportunity to do hands-on field experiences as well as an internship work-based learning. We have collaborated with Ogden District, Morgan District, Box Elder, the Utah State Board of Education CTE Department, as well as Weber State on our model. And so far, everybody gives us thumbs up. Also, this is a little hint. Next, in November, at the State Board of Education's meeting, our plan will go before the board as a model to use for the state. We currently have 3 of our schools with Ed 1010 programs. We only had 1 last year, but now we have 2 that came on board, Bonneville, Weaver Innovations, as well as Fremont High School. And I am so proud of all 3 of those programs because if you think about the North region, we have the most students in Ed 1010. In the past 2 weeks, like I said, we visited these classrooms at Fremont, Bonneville, Weaver, Roy High School, and I have been so impressed with our students. I mean, our sophomores, that's going to be juniors next year, and our juniors, that's going to be seniors. What a great crop of students we have. Hopefully, future teachers for our district. I'm going to take some time and turn this time over to Becky Sagers, and she's going to explain the program a little bit in depth.
All right, we're going to put you through what we are sharing with the students in our district. So if I can get you to go to the next slide. One of the things we like to do after we've shown our little video clip is ask our students who are their favorite teachers and why. And we have gotten a myriad of answers, and all of them have been incredibly positive. We've been very pleased to be a part of that. If you'll go on to the next slide. One of the things we do with this particular program is we want some career exploration to take place. And so these are the various careers that we introduce throughout the 4 sections of courses that we've been working on. So if you have a chance, there's some pamphlets on the back table, but we've put together a pamphlet that describes our course outline. And we start with a 9th grade component, which we're thrilled to be able to pilot in January at South Ogden Junior High and Orion Junior. And we start talking about learning. How do you learn? What are the things that really help you to learn? So this is more exploration of the students' learning, and then we take it into education, past, present, and future, just to give them a little taste of it. Our 10th grade courses, if you'll go to the next slide for us. Oh, let me give you this one real quick. We love this slide because it helps our students see that there are jobs at the end of the training. Teaching is projected to be one of the fastest growing occupations over the next 10 years and beyond, and we need teachers in all fields. So whatever their passion is, we hope that they can look at education as a potential career outlet for that passion. We'll go to the next one. So our 9th grade course will start, and that was when we talk a little bit about learning and how the student learns. They get to explore their own learning abilities. 10th and 11th grade, we have 2 courses, Teaching as a Profession 1 and 2. Both of these expand into the classroom experience. What makes a classroom work? What is effective in the classroom? How can they help students to learn better in a classroom setting? Our concurrent enrollment portion is our Education 1010. That is for both our 11th grade and 12th grade students, and we're crossing our fingers. Weber State kind of dangled a carrot the other day and suggested we might have another concurrent enrollment class in the near future, so we're really excited about that. We also have our work-based learning internship working with our coordinator, Jeff Meyer, who is able to put these students into an elementary, junior high, or high school classroom as part of an internship. So today what we'd like to do is have a few of our students come up. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come up by me, we have some of our Education 1010 students here to tell you a little bit about why they are in the program and what they're interested in. And I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you what school they're from and give you a little bit of background on them. So we'll start with you, Cheyenne, okay?
I'm Cheyenne Breeding. I'm a junior at Fremont High School. I took the Education 1010 class because I have an interest in being an agricultural educator. My sister and my mom are both teachers, and they both have a sincere passion for teaching and what they do. I've seen in the home, they've always promoted education and kind of been an inspiration. You know, we've always heard, if you truly have a passion for what you do, you never work in a day in your life. And I've seen that in my mom and my sister and all the teachers that I have around me. I'm really excited about this program that's getting started at our high school because I'm confident that this program is going to embed a passion for these students that are interested in becoming teachers?
Hi, my name is Colby Sorensen. I'm a junior at Fremont High School, and I want to go into teaching theater. And it's funny because, like she says, her mom really influenced her on becoming a teacher, but my family are not performers. They're not teachers. It's like a complete difference. And what we were saying earlier with your favorite teachers, and they asked us that question in class, it was a no-brainer. It was Mr. Smith at Rocky Mountain Junior High, because first when I started with him, he showed me how to be a performer and be able to get up in front of people. And you don't have to do it in theater. It kind of correlates with everything in life. And then later on in junior high and high school, I realized that there's so much more than just performing. You can really make other people's lives better, and I see that in teaching. And teaching somebody, like when I go to WalkQuest, it's insane how awesome it is to be able to show someone how to not only just be good at theater, but to be good at life. And it's not only making me better to hopefully be a teacher in the future, but just like with everything you do, how to interact with people and how to make other people's lives better. I feel like for me, I don't try to make my life better. I try to make others' lives better, and that's more rewarding than anything.
My name is Maddie Shoup. I'm a senior at Weber Innovation High School, and I want to be a teacher just because I work with kids a lot, just because I like kids, but they're so young and they're still like developing, and the impact that adults make on them is crazy. And I just want to be someone who can make a positive impact on little kids. And I love the education program. I think it's so cool because it doesn't just show you all the good it does for everyone. It also shows you how difficult times are going to be, but at the end of the day, it's more rewarding than anything.
Hi, I'm Emily Swiss. I go to Weber High School. So I had a 4th grade teacher. His name was Mr. Stowers, and he taught me that teaching was more than just test scores and grades. He genuinely cared for each student in our class and had an underlying desire for us to succeed. His example in my class, paired with time teaching group swim lessons this summer, sparked my interest of going into education. So this Education 1010 program, it's a really high priority for me because I love working with kids and I love being in that setting and that environment. The instructional period before we separate really prepares me for the future in teaching by addressing job salary, stability, and fulfillment. It's really important because we get to go into our classrooms and then we get to separate into our elementary school classrooms and apply it in real life, and it's just really important to me. While there, I can see how my teacher finds solutions to the challenges she faces daily. By watching Mrs. Smith interact with her students, I'm learning effective strategies and deciding on what I'd like to implement in my own classroom someday. The experiences I've had in Education 1010 have been invaluable and have confirmed my desire to become an elementary education teacher.
My name is Mikai Ricketts. I'm a senior at Bonneville High School, and I'm currently enrolled in the Education 1010 program as well. When I first heard about the program, it was during an assembly at the end of my junior year, and I thought, wow, this seems like an amazing opportunity. I get to help children and learn about the opportunities that teachers get to experience. And the next year, I didn't hesitate to sign up for the class. This program is valuable to students who are determined to become a teacher and to students who are exploring the teaching career as an option for their future, especially because it allows students to gain a hands-on experience. I get to teach children art, math, and reading, complete teacher-assigned tasks, create bulletin boards, and assist other teachers in the elementary school if they need help, or if they are in need of help. In addition to the hands-on opportunity, I learn how to deal with conflict or misbehavior in the classroom and create a portfolio that will eventually be filled with different lesson plan strategies and assignment guides for my future classroom. About a month after my senior year began, I was forced by the Weber State Early College program to drop at least 3 credits. They only allow a maximum of 21 credits, and I was signed up for 24. Although dropping the class would save me a long drive to West Haven every other day and would allow me to have more time in the morning to do homework for other classes, I insisted that I keep the Education 1010 program on my schedule because it was the class I was most passionate about. and instead I chose to drop 3 other classes. This class has helped me in my goal to obtain an associate's degree before I graduate high school. I think it's a good opportunity for all high school students. I have learned that participating in this program is much more than just teaching the kids math or grading papers to save teachers time. It's making a difference in people's lives. Although I've only been in the program for a couple months, I feel that I truly have made a difference in the teachers' and students' lives at the elementary school. The first day I walked into my 6th grade class, the kids were yelling, "There's the high school helper, there she is!" And as anxious and as nervous as I was, I instantly felt welcomed and wanted in the classroom. I feel so lucky to be a part of this program. It has made a huge impact in my life and potential decisions in my near future. My teacher, Mrs. Okerlund, who's in the back, has told me several times that I truly am a hero to these kids. I think more students like me should have the opportunity to be a part of the program so they can also make a difference in the lives of people who were once strangers to them before they walked in the door that first day, just like me. Thanks for the opportunity to share my experiences.
Okay, the board would like to meet you guys, okay? That'd be great. We'll catch them next. Yeah, Dad. Do we have anything else we need to add? I think we're just about done. Okay, we'll get that.
Do we have some early contracts?
There we go.
We interrupted you just
That's
a little
just fine.
bit.
Are you okay if we introduce our teachers?
Please, that'd be great. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, while we let our students go through and meet the board, if we could get our Education 1010 teachers to stand up. These are the front line. These are our heroes. We need to give them a hand too.
Board, are there any questions about our pathway program? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray, and welcome, Ms. Perry. We're sorry. Our Fremont principal is with us. Thank you for being here with us. Looks like we get to go to some action items, board. Ray, thank you for the presentation. We need for approval on revisit policy 4199, special education policy statement on the second reading, presented by Lori Rasmussen, please.
That was fun to see. Thanks, Superintendent Stevens and board members. We talked about this policy last month at board meeting, and it's just to update policy 4199, which is the purpose is to come into compliance with the updated special education rules by the state Office of Ed, and we've also updated our policy and procedure manual at the district that aligns with that. So I haven't received any feedback. So we're asking for you to approve the update to that policy and our policy and procedure manual on a second read. First of all, do you guys have any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Lori. Stand by. Board, you've heard the presentation by Lori on revision of 4199. I'd entertain a motion to accept that as read. So moved by Dean, second by Bruce. Any discussion for Lori or anybody? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
The next item would be the approval of revision on policy 7130, employee career status, on the first reading. Rod Belknap, please.
Superintendent Stevens, Board, this is the first reading on this. If you look in your notes, you can follow along. It's policy 7130. The purpose of this policy change is to address the circumstances in which an employee comes to Weber District from another district, in which the employee had achieved career status, or an employee takes a substantially different position in Weber District and had achieved career status in the employee's former position. It's been Weber School District's practice to treat employees coming in with career status as a provisional employee for only 2 years rather than 3. This policy change memorializes this. So that's the first part of the policy. The second part is to extend the provisional status of a provisional employee for up to 2 years if a supervisor feels a provisional employee is not ready for recommendation to career employee status after the 3rd year of employment. So in both instances, this has been our practice for some time. We just need to get it into policy, district policy. So are there any questions about this policy? I'd ask the board then to accept this on a first reading. And if you have any questions or concerns over the next month before we go to a second reading, then please let us know, and happy to address those. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Board, you've heard the revision for policy 7130 on employee career status on a first reading. I'd entertain a motion to accept. Janice, second. Dean? Any discussion for Rod or anybody? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next month, Rod. We will move to our next item. It's approval of the 2018-2019 school calendar on the first reading. Billy Grills.
Thanks, Superintendent, Board. The calendar committee met recently to consider several possible calendars for 2018-19. We had school district administration, parents, PTSA, WEA, classified employees, and teachers were all invited to give their input during this meeting. Additionally, the final 2 calendar choices were sent to the schools, and employee groups were allowed to obtain input on the local level. Based on the input, the calendar committee would like to recommend to the board the attached 2018-2019 calendar for consideration and approval on a first reading.
Billy, will you tell me who those board members were? No, I thought maybe you'd have them memorized.
No, that were invited?
No, I'm just giving. You look so serious up there, so I thought I'd. Board, you've heard the 2018-2019 school calendar on a first reading presented by Bill Grills. I'd entertain a motion to accept that. So moved by Mitzi. Second by Dean. Any discussion on the calendaring? All in favor? Aye. It carries. We'll go to the next reading next. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Discussion and action on approval on an interlocal agreement with South Ogden City Community Development and Renewal Agency for the South Ogden Auto Mall Community Reinvestment Project Area. Robert Peterson.
Thanks, President. As we had a brief overview of this in our study session, and we've been working on this for a few months now, and it's a partnership with South Ogden City and other entities that are involved, and we're giving up new tax increment, a portion of new tax increment for a 12-year period to help build infrastructure so that this area of South Ogden City can expand and attract and retain businesses. and we think it's a win-win. We are not going to lose anything from this. In fact, there'll be a net gain of about $166,000 over the next 12 years. And in addition to that, there will be more economic activity, which provides jobs and income tax and those kinds of things. We'd recommend that the board approve this community redevelopment or interlocal agreement. Also, just so you're aware, Heidi Alder, our attorney, has to sign off on this, on the agreement, and she has read it, and she's given a thumbs up for it legally.
Thank you, Robert, for the presentation. I do believe this is an awesome partnership with us in South Ogden City again as a school district. And thank all those on staff that have helped put that together. So, board, I'd entertain a motion to accept the interlocal agreement with South Ogden City on the CDA? CRA. Yeah, CRA. So moved by Doug, second by Mitzi. Any discussion for Robert? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Seeing no other action items on our agenda, I would call for a motion to adjourn our meeting. All in? Oh, okay. Moved by Dean, seconded. Second by Mitzi. All in favor? Aye. I agree. I don't want to leave either. It's great. Thank you, everybody, for coming, including staff.